Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with the Raw Life Health Show. Thank you for checking out this video. Today I have an important topic I want to talk about, and that is a question I get all the time. People are always asking me or telling me they would like to eat a healthy diet. They would like their family to eat a healthy diet. They would like to go to places and eat healthy with their friends, but they just do not know where to start. They don't know how to do it, and they don't know what to do. And we were all in that situation at one time, those of us who have been doing this a long time. Anytime you make a change, yes, it's difficult because you're changing something. But they say it takes 21 days to form a habit, and I would say consistency is the key. It's not just 21 days, it's doing something consistent for 21 days or how long you're going to do it. The longer you do it without cheating or without going back and forth, the better it's going to be or the easier it's going to become. When you go back and forth, it might run into a challenge. I'm teaching my daughter right now math, and if I consistently do the same examples every day or the same type of examples, she remembers it, and each day she remembers it better and better, and now she knows it. I don't even have to do the examples. But if we miss a week and then she tries to do it again, she won't remember it as if we were being consistent. So it's the same thing when you're eating healthy. You have to be consistent on the information and knowledge you have. Whatever diet you choose to eat and however you choose to do it, it's going to be difficult at first, especially if you're changing a lifelong way of eating and thinking about food. But once you get consistent at doing that and feeling the results and see how it works and feel it, then you'll be better. An example I often give, and trust me folks, I do not eat tuna fish sandwiches. But I'm going to give that as an example. The first time I made a tuna fish sandwich, when I did eat that, I burned a toast, I put too much mayonnaise in there, and I put too many onions in there, and it just didn't taste well. But after doing that for several years, or even weeks, I eventually perfected it where I was able to make a good tuna fish sandwich. So I no longer eat tuna fish. Now I eat raw vegan mock tuna fish. Again, I got a recipe for raw vegan mock tuna fish, and I make it with sunflower seeds. I do the recipe. The first time I made it, it didn't come out well. The second time I make it, it was a little bit better. But after I consistently did it, and not even each day, just on a regular basis, I can now make a good mock raw vegan tuna fish sandwich. So if you're making raw food recipes for the first time and they're not coming out as well as you think they should, or people aren't liking them, if somebody else made up the recipe, or you see a video on YouTube and it has a lot of likes and then you make it and it doesn't taste that well, give it another try, or give it several other times before you say this diet isn't for me or something. Another thing is people will often say, well, I don't like a recipe, so this diet must not be for me. Even if it is a good tasting one, some people just don't like certain things. And I tell people, if you taste 10 new recipes, and let's say you only like 3 of them, let's say they were healthy, raw, vegan recipes, and out of 10 you only like 3, so 7 you didn't like. Instead of thinking this diet isn't for me, start thinking that's 3 new healthy recipes I'm going to add to my diet. And be positive, and that's the way to do it. Well, when I first started, there weren't as many raw food recipe books out back then as there are today. Even the raw food diet per se was just more uncommon, and today it's very normal. A lot of people are eating this way. It's still a little out there, but for example, vegan. You know, back in the day, nobody knew what a vegan was, and now it's a pretty common term. Same thing with vegetarian. And even then, recipes weren't that good. Vegan and vegetarian burgers were not as good and tasty as they are today. Raw food, on the other hand, back in the day, if you were able to find a good raw food recipe book, the recipes were wonderful. And today they're fine also. And, you know, we're not adding anything but fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Spices and herbs to these different foods and mixing them up. I do a lot of food demos around the world and teaching people how to make raw foods and how to make it easily. And basically, I believe the best way to eat is eating as simple as possible. Just grabbing a fruit or just eating a cucumber or celery in something. That's just the easiest and simplest way. But raw food recipes today for me are fun foods, but back in the day they really did help me make the transition from a cooked food diet to a raw food diet. And the more recipes you have, the more variety you have, the chances are you're going to be successful at doing this. And basically when it comes to making raw foods, if you know how to press a button on a blender or use a food processor, you can call yourself a raw food chef. Because in the recipe books, all it is just ingredients that you're putting in a blender or a food processor and pressing a button. Now, there are some raw food recipes that are more complicated. Raw food lasagna, even raw food pizzas. But for the most part, it's just some blending or food processing something. Well, I am going to tell you, out of all the raw food recipe books out there, and I do, in my books, people ask me, do I have a raw food recipe book? I had at one time the world's biggest raw food restaurant in New York City, which is important because in New York City we have the world's biggest people. And I was making a lot of recipes there, and I have recipes in the back of all my books. There are recipes. A good section of my books aren't only my recipes, but recipes of people I've interviewed, so you can taste their recipes. But when I first started, and even when I had my raw food restaurant, there was one book that I went to over and over again, and I made raw food recipes all the time from. And to me, to this day, it's the simplest, most tasty, and just a recipe book I think every raw foodist or everyone aspiring to even eat healthy should have in their library. And I actually, later on, now live close to the author of that book, and we become friends. And I've done raw food retreats with this person now, and for me it really went full circle. Because like I said, when I first started, there weren't many books out there, and I got a hold of this book, and I made the recipes, and now I've made them so much and so consistently over the years, over the 20 years I've been doing this, that I know many of them, but just by knowing them. And I will have a good amount of raw food recipes on my website. I have a new studio with a kitchen, and we'll be making more of those. But basically, I'm going to tell you now the book, and this is the book I recommend, and you can get it at my website, rawlife.com. And this book is Dining in the Raw by Rita Romano. So Dining in the Raw by Rita Romano. And it does have a bunch of great raw food recipes, but it also has, if you're still making a transition, it has some cooked food recipes. And the ingredients are simple to get, and she also explains each chapter. Like there's a chapter on dehydrated foods. Rita used to be the chef at Hippocrates Health Institute, which I talk about a lot. It's a world-class health spa. And she has a detox center here now in Lake Worth, Florida. But this is the book to get, folks. And it's on my website, rawlife.com. The recipes here, a lot of the recipes you see me make on the show are from this book, and or some type of variation from this. And again, she also uses some cooked recipes, so it's great for people making their transition. The majority of the book is raw, is raw food and recipes, and this is one book you're going to want. So if you're thinking about getting a book for somebody as a gift, or if you're just thinking about just adding to your raw food library, this is the book I recommend. And even besides the raw food recipes, the information she has about each different type of food and the different types is a great educational learning tool. So it's just a complete book. It's just a wonderful book. So Dining in the Raw by Rita Romano. And if you have any questions or comments about this, or if you've made recipes from this book, let me know what you thought of them. And again, if you just take this book and do what I did, I pretty much made the majority of the recipes in this book, and I didn't like all of them, but the ones I liked, I now had a base for eating healthy and living healthy. So that's what I recommend, and that's where a place I would recommend, a good place to start. Get my book, The Raw Life, and get this book, Dining in the Raw. Read them, apply them, and you should be off to a great start eating a healthier lifestyle. Whether if your intention is to just add more fruits and vegetables to your diet or go all raw, this is a great place to start. So, folks, thank you for watching. Put your comments, questions below the video. And if you're not already a member of the Raw Life Health Show, for $1, you can check it out for free. Just go to rawlifehealthshow.com. Until then, everybody, have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.